My name is Todd Humphreys. I'm the cybersecurity go-to-market leader from WEI, and we are privileged to be joined by three esteemed colleagues from Palo Alto Networks, Scott Whitehouse, Chris Maroun, and Jim McClymont. They all come from the CyberArk acquisition, so they are identity experts. Focus today is security without silos. The discussion around identity has been more pronounced today than it's ever been. It's always been a hot topic, um, but with the rise of AI and non-human identities being more and more critical, and frankly, just a lot of questions from customers about Palo Alto's strategy in this area. This has become a topic we really felt we needed to address head on. In terms of the cybersecurity practice, we kind of divided it up in a way that we felt made the most sense to serve our existing customer base and to leverage our expertise internally. We've always been strong at network security. We joke around that we were doing zero trust before zero trust was actually a cool thing to talk about. And the focus is heavily SASE, next-gen firewall, SD-WAN solutions, which is where our initial partnership with Palo Alto Networks originated from. We put a lot of emphasis recently in SOC and SOC modernization, and that led us headlong into the use of AI to protect the enterprise. And I think a lot of SOCs are moving down this path these days. Cloud security, because we built a lot of data centers for our customers in the early days, a lot of those same customers came back to us and said, we need to move to the cloud. And we invested heavily in building a team that really understood the business of cloud and the business of cloud security. So it's always been important to us and something that we understand as practitioners, first and foremost. The fourth pillar, and very relevant to today, is identity. Identity meant different things to different people years ago. It was all about Active Directory, but it's taken on such a more prominent role in the enterprise these days, notably as people adopted a zero trust stance in their environment. But now when things like agentic agents that have the ability to do their own reasoning and conduct their own tasks come into play, they need to control them as well from a sort of role-based access mechanism, et cetera, has become more and more important. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Scott. And I think, Scott, you can take the con. You have the con for the Star Trek fans out there.
All right, good stuff, and thanks for that intro, Todd. And you used one keyword right in the beginning. You said we're all privileged to have everyone here, and of course, privilege is a big part of what we're going to talk about today. It is where CyberArk, now Idira, got started, but of course, identity is much bigger than that today. So let's do this. Let's do quick intros for me, for Chris, and Jim. So I'll start. I'm the Regional Vice President of Ecosystems or Channel here at Palo Alto Networks in the Idira, formerly CyberArk business. And before this, I led the Americas channel team at CyberArk. And before that, actually led the Northeast sales team at CyberArk. So I've worked with many of you who are on the line here today. So it's good to see some familiar names out there. And Chris, over to you.
Yeah, Chris Maroun, Field CTO for CyberArk. Now, 5 months into the Palo Alto Networks acquisition and supporting Idira with a senior director title. Before that, I was a sales engineer for Scott Whitehouse. So a lot of time spent working some accounts all over the world. It's been a lot of fun, and of course, all the changes that have come along with our industry. So happy to share some thoughts of mine as we get going. Over to Jim.
Yeah, thanks. Jim McClymont. I am currently driving the global ecosystem go-to-market strategy for what we're calling next-gen trust security, which you'll hear a little bit in a minute. But prior to that, had a very similar role within CyberArk. I did come through the Unify acquisition, so I've been in the machine identity security space for well over 7 years now. The encryption space is included maybe over 12 years now. So anyway, we'll get a little bit more into that as we go through this today, but thanks for the time.
Yeah, and thanks, guys. And for everybody on the line, this is our agenda. So I'm going to give you the big picture on identity, the risks that it represents today, because they're different than what they were not very long ago. I'll talk a little bit about the acquisition and what it means to all of you as customers. Chris is going to take over and start with the human side of identity, which in some ways is the more understood part of identity. He's going to help us transition into the machine side, and that's the edge of where we're all headed, along with AI and agentic. Jim's going to take the ball from there and talk about machine identity, specifically certificate management, and as he just described, NGTS, next generation trust security. At the end, Todd's going to pick us up for any questions that you've asked, and as he said before, you'll get some follow-up on that a little bit later. Just one note on the acquisition before we roll forward. Todd mentioned it, two really big, very successful companies, not really a consolidation for financial reasons, not really a consolidation of technology because both successful on their own, but a consolidation of trust for all of you. You have enough to worry about with all of the different breach vectors that are coming at you every single day. It's another thing to have to worry about a number of different vendors of cybersecurity solutions. So for at least part of your cybersecurity interest and estate, we're going to attempt to consolidate that and make that a little bit easier for you. WEI here, of course, to help you not only as a technical advisor, but as a financial advisor, because the risks around cybersecurity breaches and attacks are huge. There's the loss of brand, there's the inefficiency of having to deal with a breach when it happens, and of course, there's the lost revenue when your reputation does take a hit. So WEI here to guide all of us through what happens in the future after this discussion and with everything else you do with them. All right, so we've said it a couple of times. Identity is the number one attack vector. It's in 9 of 10 attacks. So if you've experienced a breach, small or large, before, then you know that identity is a big part of that. And it's not just us saying that from the former CyberArk or Idira portfolio. We do our own research, of course. It's also Palo Alto's Unit 42 doing breach remediation, finding that identity is in 90% of the attacks that they see. But you can look at third-party reports too. So take a look at the reports that Verizon puts together every year, for instance, on data breaches, and you'll see that identity is one of the most important facets of being sure that you're protected against these types of attacks. So let's dig in on a few more numbers here. I don't think any of this will be a major surprise. And these, of course, are the doomsday slides with the red and the dark colors in the background. So you'll see a little bit of that. But we know this too, right? So we've all needed additional privilege on our systems. Privileged users, where CyberArk got started, used to be IT admins and those who were developing and controlling systems. But at some point in time, we all gain some semblance of privilege, but it's too much privilege, too much control, and too much access all the time. So just imagine the case where you've elevated privilege on your own system, your own endpoint, laptop or desktop, and an attacker gets control of that, whether it's a link that you've clicked or they've somehow gotten in at endpoints, because that's where they start. When that privilege exists for you, that privilege now exists for that attacker. So this is a common entry point for ransomware attacks, and controlling privilege and access so that it's only available when we or other users in our organizations need it is a big part of what we're going to talk about today. So you keep hearing about the rise of machines, and it doesn't matter what a machine is. It could be a robotic process, it could be a service account, it could be a containerized application. The fact is, things run automatically without human intervention. The issue here is not so much the number of machines, it's that one robotic process, that one AI agent that's not controlled. The fact that the scale continues to rise, this number was 80 for us just a couple of months ago. Now it's up over 100. That scale represents the problem. That is, there is that one uncontrolled, unmanaged machine that represents a risk when it's taken over by an attacker. And then finally, the whole AI process and AI adoption motion, all of our CEOs are telling us and our coworkers, do as much as you can with AI and agents every single day because it's efficient. But those agents aren't controlled. Only 6% of that agentic enterprise is actually under control. So we'll talk a little bit about discovery and control. The best layperson example for those you talk to who are outside of security is something like OpenClaw, which we as individuals can use. And you can look up OpenClaw if you've never used it or don't know what that is. But think about putting your credit card numbers, your personal information, and your vacation plans into OpenClaw to have it do all of that for you and build a vacation plan. For an attacker, that's perfect because it's your credit card numbers, your personal information, and your vacation plans all in one place. Now, multiply that in the companies that we all work for by dozens or hundreds, and you realize the risk of an attacker getting control of one of those agents. So let's do a brief look at the market or the industry as it exists today. And all of you have this. It's siloed, different solutions from different vendors. You recognize all of these solutions from identity and access management, which is really just SSO and MFA. It's plumbing, but it's not necessarily secure, especially if you get it from your operating system vendor. So there are better ways to do SSO and MFA. Privilege, you understand where the world of privilege has come from, but we're all privileged sometimes now. Identity governance, if you've launched one of those projects, you know how painful it can be to know what's happening in an infrastructure day over day and by each user and with each application. And then Jim's going to get into the detail on non-human identity or machine identity. Agents just makes this all the more difficult. I'll swing back to the left. When we look at identity threat detection and response, that's been layered on top of all of this by many of you to kind of cover the patchwork and fill the gaps because they're getting in. They're going to get in no matter what. It's about how you control them. When this comes from multiple vendors or even a single vendor, but it's not put together correctly, that alone represents a ton of risk that you need to resolve. So what are we doing? And by the way, CyberArk was on its own platformization plan before the acquisition by Palo Alto Networks, but the goal is simple. For everything identity, from humans who log on and do the things that we all do every single day, to the developers, to the non-human entities, machines, and agents, it's about discovery, knowing what's out there, controlling it so that users can do what they need to do, but they have the right privilege at the right times, and then governing that. So you know what's been done and what changes to make in the future, whether you're a public company or a nonprofit organization. Now let's extend this a bit. Think about the broader Palo Alto Networks, because many of you do have, through WEI, Palo Alto Network solutions in place. You know what Palo does in firewalls, network security, and Strata. You may know what Palo Alto provides for XDR, XIM, and XSOAR on the Cortex side. We're putting identity right in the center of that. And as a follow-on conversation, we can get into more detail. So Todd, maybe this is a follow-up presentation. We can talk about all of the cross-sell integrations that we're building as the company comes together so that instead of seeing components in a platform, you're seeing a single platform for cybersecurity protections. All right.
Makes
So
sense.
to bring it all around, a couple of things. The concept of privilege and the fact that all users, all machines are privileged at some point in time means that the risk surface has simply multiplied around identity. So we're going to take that end-to-end identity platform. We're plugging it into everything that you may be using today or may be interested in from Palo Alto Networks and creating a full platform that delivers all of your cybersecurity needs in one place, almost one place. Todd is still here to help you with those perimeter solutions that you need to wrap around everything we provide from Palo Alto Networks. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Chris.
Amazing. So yeah, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the human side of the house, right? And if we talk about humans, we also have to talk about their best friends, which are the machines. We always talk in our team that machines or applications are people too, and they really are. I think that we saw that many years ago. I've been in this space for 22 years talking about privileged access management, and it wasn't very long after we started rotating passwords that we found that organization says, well, wait a minute, you can't rotate that password. And we would say, well, why not? And they said, well, it's being used by this application to authenticate it to this database or this mainframe or something along those lines. So machine identity security or machine privileged access management came pretty quick alongside of every single human. And I think what we started to see was that, everybody kind of thought about the vault as privileged access. Scott and I have been in this space for a really long time. Talking about rotating passwords was, just the way of the world when it came to PAM. And I think that in the last 5 years or so, we've kind of seen this major shift into what PAM really truly means. And I think that while the foundational aspects of PAM really still hold true, I think we have to reimagine or reinvent what privileged access really means. And this kind of started when we started thinking about all of the other identities within any organization that truly need privileged access, whether it's a Salesforce administrator or your payroll admin, HR admins. I use that example from pretty much on every call because it kind of really outlines where there's a problem outside of those IT walls. And I think when we start thinking about reimagining PAM, we really start thinking about what is a better, more secure alternative. And I talk to customers all the time about reducing their threat landscape by removing the number of accounts that not only exist in the vault, but also in their organization in general. Because the less accounts that are out there, the less that it is a landscape for attackers to be able to potentially brute force. So at the end of the day, it still requires administrators to do their job. They still need privileges to do their jobs. So how do we do that? We do that in an ephemeral manner. And so kind of our thinking, Palo Alto Networks, Idira, reinventing the PAM space really kind of starts to take on this next gen. You'll kind of hear that phrase a little bit, but next gen identity security allows us to take a little bit more of a different direction than we've done in the past. Now, of course, this was something that we've been kind of in the works for the last, I would say 5 years, 4 or 5 years now. But the idea is really just how do I get somebody access that they need right away with the right level of privileges for the right amount of time. And this is kind of where that zero standing privileges kind of mindset really started to take shape. Now, of course, as we all enter the AI realm, I think that Idira is really kind of taking shape to be able to utilize artificial intelligence to help simplify deployment and provide ease of access. So rather than just saying, yeah, let's rotate an account password, it might be a little bit more structured than that to be able to say, hey, I'm going to remediate an issue of privilege. We don't want it to be statically assigned. It's risk. It's just too much for that end user to hold accountability for. So if we can provide privilege at the exact time that they need it with the right level of privileges and then take it away at the end, we've done our job. But that doesn't extend just to humans. It should also extend across the board to artificial intelligent agents, any agentic AI framework, plus just your standard applications. But the idea of zero standing privileges kind of exists at the tip of the iceberg, the pinnacle, right, of that type of access that we really want to think about where we were 20 years ago when it was really unmanaged access. I had access to username and passwords to every single AIX server that I managed at a couple banks down here in North Carolina. But standing level access, we kind of threw everything into the vault and just kind of pushed it aside. We didn't address the level of privilege that was necessary there. Just in time took on some focus way back when. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to always have access when somebody's on vacation, because just-in-time access says, yes, that John Smith, the admin, can have access from 8 to 5 every single day. But what if they're on vacation? What if they're not working today? What happens then? It should only happen in the instance of whenever it's necessary. But we also know that there's a split between two different types of access: system level access. And this is what you might be hearing in the industry as, oh, legacy PAM, or oh, PAM, the way that, that it was seen back then isn't really valid anymore. But the administrator account, the root account, the SA account on databases, those aren't going away. They must exist, because if all else fails, your identity as a service platform, Active Directory, as Todd had mentioned earlier, if all that goes away, how are you logging into those systems? And that's where those system level access, we'll call them those administrator account passwords, really become absolutely necessary. But what we can do is we can start to isolate those use cases to those exact things, which are built-in admin accounts and not everyday access. That every administrator doesn't need a domain admin account in the vault. We don't necessarily need that, because there are secure methods to be able to provide an alternative way of gaining that operational access. So whenever I need access to a server, go get it, do what you need to do, and then get out, and we're going to strip it away. So this is all great for infrastructure, but then we have to start thinking about the cloud And you probably have heard this in the industry as well. Cloud PAM is not the same as, your traditional or foundational or even legacy PAM. But we want to agree because we've been thinking about it for several years, and we've actually implemented a way for us to be able to to come up with a concept that says this is bad. And what I mean by this is that Chris at mycorp.com has always access to storage and network and compute roles within, let's say, AWS or Azure or GCP or the likes of many other applications that could be SaaS based. But the real idea should be to just limit it and say, well, this is what it should look like. I should have no standing privileges whatsoever on those target applications, those SaaS implementations, etc. But when I do need something, I can say, yep, I need compute, storage, and networking for today, or at least this session. That session provides that to me in the background for that specific period of time. So we're invoking least privilege for a set number of minutes, hours, whatever. And then essentially at the end, we're taking that away. And that is the invocation of essentially zero standing privileges. So we're invoking the right for the user to be able to do things, but not giving them the staticness of what those permissions used to hold. Now, of course, with artificial intelligence and autonomous agents and everything else kind of like doing things, look, it's amazing. Scott just went through an example. Hey, here's my credit card. Go and book me the best vacation possible, and here's my budget. And you might have a ton of AI agents that are working together to go out there and solve that problem of booking your awesome vacation to Hawaii or to Europe or wherever it is that you're going. But in the world of your environment, of the organization that you work for, it's probably not booking vacations. It's probably like, hey, I have this task and I need it to be repeated every so often. And that agent can autonomously think about what might need to be in place. And it also could use your permissions. So if it's acting on behalf of your end user that's building that agent, that person might have the ability to delete a database. Well, if the agent says, well, this is a very inefficient database, why don't I just delete it? Because it has one table, one entry in it. But what if that one entry is essentially your entire intellectual property? So we have to learn how to create a security posture around it, provide those identities to those agents whenever that's necessary so they can go off and do their things, but also not be targets for attackers as well. So what we did was is we created a way to kind of blend the best of both worlds, which is machine identity and human level identity, to be able to control all of those things that Scott had mentioned at the beginning, which is discover, control, and govern all of these AI agents the same way that we do human and non-human. So what that ends up looking like is an AI agent has to communicate through a broker, and that broker does discovery and provides MCP inventories and provides authentication to unauthenticated MCP servers. And we could go on and on and on about the technology and the capabilities within the solution. But what I think every organization is looking for is just to be able to get an agent, the access to those resources through those MCP servers, but make sure that the permissions aren't static. It's enforcing that zero standing privileges. So if an attacker does happen to gain control of an agent or a system that has agents running on it, that they're not able to retract out those privileges and use them for the worst. So all of these different identities, we've been concentrating on them for a really long time. I think the idea here is that we started with the humans because that was the most obvious. We then jumped over to the machine side of the house where we wanted to make sure that workloads and applications and devices had the level of privilege that was necessary there. And then, of course, with the new identity on the block with AI and agent frameworks, we want to make sure that we're controlling them with the right level of privilege controls, because we can't control an AI system the exact same way that we do with a human, because there's a little bit more gray area there. But just like with machines, it's very black and white. Either they're accessing something or not. But with AI, there's kind of that blend of both worlds, and we want to make sure that we're providing the right level of privilege controls. Now, one of the things that we're doing when we start shifting over to the gym side of the presentation, is we have to think about all of the different types of authentication and authorization. And this is where certificates really come into play, because it's not just a password. We come to a different type of authentication, and that's where Jim's going to take us, is what that next level of trust security looks like.
Great. Thanks, Chris. All right. So as Chris said, we're going to talk a little bit more on what we call next gen trust security around certificate management in PKI. But there is a twist with post quantum now really becoming a tailwind behind this story. So as we talked about at the very beginning, Scott introduced us to, I think the most recent stat is there's 109 machines or non-human identities to every human identity. And obviously this has created a much larger attack surface. So today when we talk about machine identities, it could be TLS certificates, it could be talking about secrets, it could be talking about SSH keys, you could be describing code signing. There's a variety of different things that all fall under machine identity or non-human identity. But the primary one we're really focused on today is going to be around the certificate management. And just to give some basis, I'm sure we have a variety of different viewership today, but to just give a brief basis on what a certificate is, we relate it very much to what a passport is with a human. And this goes for multiple reasons. One, the process of getting a passport is exactly or very similar to a certificate. The end result of what you're getting is very similar in terms of a passport and a certificate. And finally, the fundamental reason behind all of this is to establish trust, which is the main concept or criteria we'll be talking about today. So, just for a quick basis, as a passport goes through, you'll put in a request to the government. The authority looks to get some information from you. They approve who you are. They believe in they issue the passport, and this establishes that now they trust you have a form of document that's trusted that then gives you authorization in and out of a certain set of criteria from country to country. Similar process happens for a certificate. You go through the request, you go to a certificate authority, CA, you get the approval, and the certificate's issued. At the end of the day, a passport comes with your name, your photo, and very important, an expiration date. The exact same thing happens with certificate. It is matched up to a machine. It gives the owner of it, and it provides the expiration period. These two processes, passport, let's say it takes you 45 days, maybe a certificate takes you 4 hours to go through that entire process. And then again, the validity period is very important as we move forward here. But just to give you a little basis, that is what a certificate is doing. It is tied to a machine, and it also grants authorization on what that machine can do and eventually sets up an encrypted tunnel so you have machine-to-machine communication. Once they recognize a certificate on the other side, that communication takes place. So as you start thinking about this, we went through the process of talking about trust. And as you look through most of your IT stacks, your environments, there is a consistent amount of different areas in which certificates are being used. And to show you, each one of these at times operates in a manual, siloed, or legacy way. And you have data in motion, you have your network, you have your identity areas, your software supply chains, IoT, cloud infrastructure. Certificates are everywhere. And a lot of this is being driven because of digital transformation, zero trust environments being set up, a rapid expansion of machines being used. They could also be driven by AI. There's a variety of different reasons in which machines are now being used, even through Kubernetes clusters, apps, etc. And there's a certificate tied to every one of those. And nowadays, you need to be able to trust that the machines that are interoperating within your environment are trusted. So what has taken place in the industry that's made this very mainstream is this, as you can see here, post-quantum has now become a conversation. And so we're getting into more terminology around cryptographic change, cryptographic assets. And cryptographic sometimes can be a scary word, but what it is it's becoming the new language of what we're coming into in this post-quantum conversation. In 2025, the CA Browser Forum, again, we referenced certificate authorities in the previous slide, worked with the browsers, Google, Microsoft, etc., and came out with a mandate that said by March of 2026, the expiration period on a certificate or the validity period will be 200 days in order for us to trust your communication, trust your machines. You will have to set up your machine with a certificate that's 200 days. Moving into March of 2027, it's 100 days. And as we get to March of 2029, we've all heard the CA browser forum 47-day mandate. That moves to 47 days. Ultimately, as you look at this, you're renewing your certificates now from 2025 to now is about 2 times the effort. By 2027, it's 5 times the effort. And by 2029, it's 12 times the effort. Really, by next March, at 5 times the effort, this is not a process that you'll be able to rotate your certificates manually. You will have to look at a certificate lifecycle management tool. And so what we're depicting with this graph is this rapid exponential growth of certificates in your environment, and at the same time, the shortening of validity periods, which has created a massive operational risk for a lot of institutions. So the problems that are starting to show up, some of these have been legacy, some of these are becoming new. Obviously, everyone has always heard about the service outage. For multiple years, we've always dealt with certificates expiring, the machine-to-machine communication shuts down, and you have an outage. Until that certificate is renewed, there's usually a fire drill behind it. You find the owner, you issue a new certificate, and you're up and going. But outages are the number one thing that always took place. Now, with the 47-day mandate, with security postures changing, and you're needing to rotate your certificates more, you don't have the opportunity to do this manually. So it is a crippling operational burden that is starting to hit not just the big, complex enterprises, it is getting down into the small and medium-sized businesses as well. You have the proliferation of devices. Again, we talked about the massive increase of certificate use. You have outdated PKI. So now you're having to look at modern PKI. You're hearing PKI refreshes, not being able to keep up your environment with all the new hardware, technology stacks, etc. So enterprises are looking at new PKI to run all their certificate management. And then you have the issue now of quantum computing, which is the new topic that's really come into a lot of the tailwind behind having a certificate management solution today. So in order to overcome a lot of those issues or problems that corporations, enterprises are feeling, you need to architect a foundation. And that's where next-gen trust security comes in. You need an enterprise-wide certificate governance. You need to have enforcement aligned to the network, and you need to set up your modern PKI, which we just described in the previous slide. So again, the major piece here is having this enforcement aligned to the network. And as we look through that, you're building trust and consistency through the network. And this includes setting up new Gen 5 next-gen firewalls. This includes understanding where all your cryptographic assets are, discovering, inventorying them, and then finally being able to shift and transfer your trust anchors without any downtime. So at the end of the day, you're trying to maintain continuity during constant change. And if you really focus on that last piece, which is where we're focused today, is you need next-gen trust security to look at your certificate management side of the business. Again, you've been doing a lot of this through manual processes, siloed processes, and now we're moving to more of a unified front. Again, you want the ability to have crypto agility so you can swap your certificates in and out as post-quantum becomes reality. You're going to want a modern PKI, so you may have internally user devices, IoT devices, where you're going to need to quickly swap out certificates, know where they're at as encryption levels change. You'll want to drive policy and governance behind all of this. So here are the major components of NGTS that we're looking forward to. And to sum this all up, again, I think the major thing you take from today is a certificate is really a machine's passport for trust. Everything we need now in these environments is to build trust through the network. And to really sum it up, exponential growth is taking place with certificates. You have shorter validity mandates taking place with lifecycle management on those certificates. And so you're looking at having tools such as NGTS come in and assist with this. And I believe with that, I can pass it back to Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. So you got the picture from one end of the spectrum to the other here, and certainly appreciate all of your time. Jim, I appreciate the setup on NGTS. Let's kind of walk that back a bit from NGTS, which is kind of packaged together with the Strata solution portfolio. Chris, everything you talked about, human and machine, and then roll that on over to the Cortex side, which I talked about earlier. You've got this full construct of cybersecurity solutions, all from one vendor in Palo Alto Networks. So, with that, Todd, I think we're handing it over to you for any questions that may have come up.
I think so. And guys, that was a lot. I thank you to you guys who presented, but also to the audience. I just want to emphasize that this is a first conversation. If you want to get more into any of these concepts or issues or concerns that were brought up, that's what we're here to help with. So feel free to reach out. We did get a couple of questions. I got them on a back channel here. I'm going to bounce them off of these guys. To automate firewall specifics, obviously specific to Palo Alto, does it automate certificate delivery for multiple platforms beyond Palo Alto as well?
Yeah, right. So, as I mentioned, the 47-day mandate has really driven a new operational change, and it's a little bit more on the public certificate facing side. But the major component of, Palo coming to us is that they've incurred multiple outages on firewalls due to certificates expiring. And so, yes, we have a wonderful better together story with Palo Alto. And if you're managing your certificates on Strata Cloud Manager, or if you have them on Panorama, even better. It makes things work very well between our solutions. However, we do work that we are still extremely agnostic in this space. We work very well with Fortinet, Cisco, your other firewall providers. So as you're trying to discover and inventory your certificates on those firewalls, we'll work with everyone. And to expand beyond just firewalls, like we said at the very beginning of the conversation today, you need to look at all the different technology stacks you have, the integrations you have, and you need an agnostic tool to do that. And then that is something that next-gen trust security can handle, whether it's F5 load balancers, whether you have a Kubernetes cluster, wherever certificates are at, we are agnostic and work with that and can manage it in today's environments.
There's another question here that says, does CyberArk, obviously now Idira, have the ability to control what a user can do once they get to the target system? For example, Windows versus Linux. So once they get to the system, is there a control mechanism that you guys can bring to the table? Chris, that's probably for you.
Yeah, happy to take that one. So just kind of put my thoughts together here. I think we talked a little bit about, getting an end user to a target system with the least amount of privileges. That's where it's coming from. So yes, actually, Palo Alto Networks acquired everything from CyberArk, including our endpoint privileges management solution, which is exactly what would be used there. So as an engineer gets over to a target host and wants to have maybe a little less than full administrator privileges, then yeah, absolutely. Even if they're delivered with administrator rights, there's also policy enforcement that can limit exactly what is done. Meaning that if I'm in as an administrator, I can install things, but maybe I don't want them to access the registry, for example. That's absolutely something that can be done. Plus other controls like don't allow them to download things from the internet, or maybe don't allow malware or ransomware to have HTTPS access. So ton of stuff that they can do there. And it's all controlled by another Idira solution. So yes, absolutely. Windows, Linux, Mac even are all solutions there that we can handle there.
The last question, it's more of sort of a how to engage question. Scott, I guess this would go to you. Existing CyberArk and Palo Alto Networks customers, and sort of cross-pollination opportunities. How is that going to work? I think for a lot of the people on the webinar, they're going to want to know how to engage with Palo Alto versus Idira people.
Yeah,
maybe that's the question.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter which sales rep you've worked with. Obviously, WEI is going to
Hmm.
coordinate most of this. But whether
Correct.
it's a Palo Alto, let's call it Palo Alto Core or Cortex or even SASE, some of you may have Palo Alto SASE solutions in place. The sales teams are all tied together. So in terms of how the follow-up works, there is cross compensation, so it does matter to all the sales team here at Palo Alto to make sure that as an end customer, you get exactly what you need from each of the business units. With regard to making
Hmm.
things simple, some of you may be CIOs. If you're a CISO working with a CIO doesn't care what's taken infrastructure down because the CIO's job is uptime, right? It doesn't matter if it's a certificate that's timed out or there's a breach happening. The CIO is responsible. Your CIOs are responsible for that. What our job will be over the next 6 months and couple of years is to make it seamless across platforms. So what Jim just described with NGTS is the combination of Strata Cloud Manager, for instance, on the firewall side, and everything that we do in certificate management. So you now have this single pane that you can go to make sure that the certificates are taken care of and the firewalls are managed. In the same sense, Chris just talked about endpoints and control of what someone can do on an endpoint. Think about the Cortex XDR solutions that's watching, monitoring, making sure that if something's happening as an XDR solution, it can apply more controls to the infrastructure so attackers can go no further. So you've got XDR saying, hey, something's going wrong. You've got CyberArk's Idira's endpoint privilege manager on the system controlling what a user can do. XDR tells the endpoint privilege manager, tighten up the privilege. Make sure that if someone's on that system and they're coming from the outside, they can't execute anything that's not in a normal whitelist. And at the same time, that endpoint privilege manager component from Idira is reporting into the Cortex XDR from Palo Alto Networks on here's what my daily activity looks like, and here's what's happening on the system. And when XDR puts that together with other inputs, it can sense that a breach may be about to happen. So these integrations will happen in pieces between solutions. The platformization concept is championed by Nikesh Arora, our CEO. So you will
Hmm.
see a motion toward, wow, those things used to be separate products and separate solutions. Look at how well they work together. But we're never going to forget your WEI, Todd. You work with other vendors. Jim mentioned it.
100%.
Lots of solutions in place already that
Hmm.
you all have as customers that we will also continue to integrate with. So yeah, a lot of different ways to get follow-up help and to consolidate all these things, Todd.
Thanks, Scott. And I really appreciate your sort of supporting WI's role in this equation. But to those of you online, we have those 100 engineers I mentioned at the beginning. We have deep expertise around a lot of the technology we just talked about today and others, right? So we sort of understand what's working well for our customers, but we're tracking very closely Palo Alto, CyberArk slash Idira coming together, and we're already seeing some early perspective on some of these integrations you're talking about, and it's pretty remarkable. It really is.